¿Qué tal mi gente? ¿Cómo están ustedes? Bienvenidos de vuelta una vez más a este increíble y maravilloso canal de noticias Venezuela News. En esta oportunidad vamos a hablar sobre lo que está sucediendo en Israel y ciertas declaraciones que ha hecho Donald Trump durante un mitin para el pueblo estadounidense de que nos acercamos, señores, a una tercera guerra mundial si esto continúa como está sucediendo. La administración Biden es bastante responsable porque Estados Unidos lo están viendo como débil, señores. Débil, Estados Unidos está débil. La cantidad de municiones que ha entregado Estados Unidos a Zelensky es exorbitante. Una cantidad de municiones de dinero, de armas, señores, que no nos imaginamos de la gran cantidad que ha entregado, dejando a Estados Unidos vulnerable a cualquier ataque. Es por ende que Israel está pidiendo a Estados Unidos que envíe armas y Estados Unidos se queda así como que, miren, no tenemos porque todo se lo dimos a Zelensky. Por otro lado, Israel le ha entregado también municiones a Zelensky, dejando a la propia Israel indefensa. Ahora, quiero mostrarle a continuación ciertas declaraciones que hizo Donald Trump en las redes sociales, traducido en español, y dice: estamos en un peligro muy grave de tener una tercera guerra mundial, y esta será una guerra de aniquilación, y tenemos un hombre que ni siquiera puede salir del escenario. Miren este video.
In very, very grave danger of having a World War III. And this will be a war of obliteration. This will not be a war with, I say, army tanks going back and forth shooting at each other. This is the real deal. And we have a man that, he can't even walk off a stage. He walks off a stage. He finishes his speech. He looks, oh, well, he can't find, he has no idea. You know, there's always a stair there, a stair here. You could even walk off the front, jump or something, do something. He usually walks to the back into a wall. Yeah, there's a wall there. He walks right into a wall. Can't walk off the stage, can't put two sentences together, and yet he's negotiating with President Xi of China, who, when I say he's very smart, the press, look at, that's a lot of press back there. That's a lot. So, for him to negotiate with President Xi of China is like my high school football team playing the, let's see, what's a good team nowadays? Philadelphia's good. You know, they change a little bit. I used to say New England. I used to say the Patriots. I'd love to be able to say the Patriots. He's a great guy, great coach, but they have a little hard time. But what's going on with the Patriots, huh? But he's a great coach. And He'll figure it out somehow. He's going to figure it out. But that was not a good game last night.
Quiero mostrarles esta foto que es la realidad de los Estados Unidos. Mientras tanto, aquí podemos ver a Joe Biden en una barbecue mientras hay una guerra en Israel, una inminente tercera guerra mundial. Y no hay comentarios por parte de la secretaria de prensa de la Casa Blanca, Karine Jean-Pierre. Pero no se preocupen, Joe Biden está cocinando barbecue mientras el mundo arde en llamas. Miren esto también. Hay una mujer que dice: y Biden se va a la cama hoy después de trabajar solamente 3 horas en la Casa Blanca. Necesitamos nuevamente a Donald Trump en la Casa Blanca. Este hombre trabaja hasta la pasada la medianoche, la mayoría de las noches, para nuestro país. Es cierto, señores. ¿Cómo es posible que el viejito, este señor, el presidente de los Estados Unidos, está trabajando simplemente 3 horas diarias? 3 horas diarias. Nada más. Y el resto lo que está haciendo es pasear y tomarse vacaciones de verano en la playa y en su casa de Delaware. Miren esto también. Charlie Kirk tuitea lo siguiente: el exdirector de Inteligencia Nacional, John Ratcliffe, repasa una larga lista de cómo Biden fortaleció al régimen iraní. Ni siquiera son solo estos $6.000 millones los que claramente van a enriquecer aún más a Irán, sino que están más cerca de los $60.000 millones. Hay sangre en las manos de Joe Biden. Señores, si no saben, Joe Biden va a descongelar $6.000 millones que se los va a entregar a Irán. Recuerden que este grupo terrorista de Hamas está siendo financiado por parte de Irán. Entonces, indirectamente, el gobierno de los Estados Unidos, por parte de la administración Biden, está fortaleciendo económicamente este grupo terrorista palestino, Hamas, contra Israel. Te quiero mostrar a continuación el video traducido en español de lo que dijo el exdirector de Inteligencia Nacional sobre estos fondos que se les va a entregar a Irán. Miren.
Facing backlash after clearing the path to release $6 billion in frozen Iranian assets just weeks ago. But the administration pushing back, insisting the money had nothing to do with funding attacks on Israel, claiming, quote, these restricted funds cannot go to Iran. It can only be used for future humanitarian-related purposes. Any suggestion to the contrary is false and misleading. John Ratcliffe served as Director of National Intelligence under President Trump. When I was there, he joins us now to react. Great to have you this morning. What a perfect guest. What is your reaction, John, when you hear Andrew Bates in the press shop say zero taxpayer dollars, no Iranian money spent yet? When spent, Iranian money can only be used by private actors?
My reaction, Kaylee, is as it has been from day one, those words ring hollow from the Biden administration. They're disingenuous at best. Look, it's not even just this $6 billion, which clearly is going to further enrich Iran. It's closer to $60 billion. If you look at what the Biden administration has done to help this Islamic terrorist regime in Iran by stop enforcing sanctions, by lifting restrictions, by allowing Iranian oil to increase by 650% over the last 2 years, from 400,000 barrels of oil a day to 3 million barrels of oil a day. All of this has strengthened an Iranian regime that, Kaylee, we left weaker and poorer than it had been in the last 20 years. And instead, they've largely been funded by the Biden administration's actions in allowing them to strengthen their position and to create this kind of mayhem. I don't think it's unfair, Kaylee, to say that, Iran funded Hamas here, but the Biden administration helped fund Iran.
But there's no doubt about it. I mean, when you and I were in the administration, September of 2020, we all sat on the south lawn of the White House and we watched Bahrain and UAE normalize relations with Israel. First time we'd had any peace accord like that since 1996. It was a day of celebration. Are you surprised? Fast forward, that was September of 2020. We're September of 2023. You have war in Israel. Is this a change in leadership? I mean, it seems pretty clear.
Well, I'm not surprised because of the actions that I just outlined. The real problem here, Kaylee, is not just folks like you and me, but everyone around the world now perceives the real problem, which is that there is daylight between the U.S. and Israel as allies, that the relationship has changed in the last 2 years because of the actions that I just outlined, where, the Biden administration wouldn't even meet with the Israeli prime minister, but at the same time they were courting and at times begging this Iranian regime to do everything from restarting nuclear talks to engaging in these kind of, ultimately ransom payments. And, and ultimately everyone sees that in the Middle East. And that is really what is playing out here before us right now. Iran wanted a lethal injection into the normalization and the extension of the Abraham Accords and the possible normalization of relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia, and they have accomplished it.
So if you were president right now, if we were still in the administration, what would you do today in reaction to what we saw play out yesterday at 6:30 a.m.?
Yeah, unfortunately, what I would do is not what's going to happen here, which is that Israel and Saudi Arabia are not going to get the kind of assurances and guarantees that they need to make sure that Iran doesn't get what they want, to make sure that the normalization of those relations and the further building of Arab partners for Israel occurs. And the U.S., with strong leadership, can do that. Obviously, you just outlined, Kaylee, we saw it work. It could continue to work, but it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen in the next year and a half in this administration because no one believes the authenticity of the Biden administration when it comes to saying we stand with Israel. They haven't stood with Israel for 2.5 years. They've stood closer to Iran than they have to Israel, and that's why we have mayhem and war in the Middle East.
Yeah, Gone are the days of peace through strength. John Ratcliffe, thank you very much.
You bet. Great to see you, Kaylee.
Good to see you.
Ahora, quiero mostrarles este tweet donde Charlie Kirk también dice lo siguiente. El Gabinete de Seguridad de Israel votó a favor de ir a la guerra por primera vez desde la guerra de Yom Kippur de 1973. El primer ministro Netanyahu ya había declarado que Israel estaba en guerra, pero según la oficina de Netanyahu, la votación oficial desbloquea actividades militares significativas. Las cifras actualizadas del número de muertos son devastadoras. Al menos 600 israelíes han sido asesinados y más de 2.000 heridos. El grupo terrorista Hamas también ha tomado decenas de rehenes dentro de Gaza. Vamos a pasar con esta información por parte de Donald Trump, donde dice: Donald Trump comenta sobre los ataques en Israel en vivo desde Iowa. Él dice: el ataque israelí se realizó porque se nos considera débiles e ineficaces y con un líder realmente débil que ni siquiera puede salir del escenario por sí mismo. Miren este video.
And we're going to talk about that in a second, but this country is just headed so badly. The Israeli attack was made because we are perceived as being weak and ineffective and with a really weak leader, and we will discuss it in a few minutes. But isn't that a shame what's happening all over the world? Things are not what they were just 3 years ago. You take a look. They weren't ever as good, and now they are really probably maybe the worst we've ever seen in terms of our country. When you look at the Afghanistan pullout, you ever see anything like that? The most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. You need to get every patriot you know and make sure that they're registered. You have to register, and you got to register as, what are you going to register as a Republican, and get them out to vote and go to their local precinct caucus meetings at 7 p.m. on Monday. So it's 7 p.m. on Monday, January 15th, and we're asking you to bring 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 people with you, as many as you can, get them loaded up. And we want to have a big, beautiful send-off, because then we have to go to war with the communists, fascists, racists, everything else you can be, Marxists. We're going to war with some very evil people.
Ahora, les tengo una información también. Irán envía un mensaje mortal a Biden con el ataque de Hamas a Israel, independientemente de si Irán planeó y ordenó el ataque masivo de Hamas contra Israel durante el fin de semana. El respaldo de Teherán al grupo militante palestino envía un mensaje claro y desafiante a Washington. Estados Unidos aún tiene que confirmar una participación directa de Teherán en la operación, pero los funcionarios reconocen que los iraníes son indirectamente cómplices de este entrenamiento, la financiación y el apoyo de este grupo terrorista. La invasión de Hamas, el peor ataque contra Israel en 50 años, muestra que Teherán está cada vez más dispuesto a dañar a los aliados de Estados Unidos y, de hecho, tratar de debilitar la influencia estadounidense a través del grupo proxy. Se produce en un momento en que la influencia de Irán como potencia regional parece estar en aumento. Esto es lo que está pasando, en el cual Irán le envía un mensaje a los Estados Unidos que está financiando, y es lo más lógico. Irán está financiando este grupo terrorista de Hamas, y estos grupos terroristas están asesinando a todo el pueblo israelí. ¿Qué va a hacer la administración Biden? ¿Todavía va a entregarle dinero a este grupo y a este país iraní, que lo que ha hecho es financiar a estos grupos terroristas para poder desestabilizar la paz en el mundo y poder desestabilizar el territorio de Dios? Eso es lo que está pasando aquí, donde este señor que está en los Estados Unidos y específicamente en la Casa Blanca ni siquiera puede completar una frase, ni siquiera puede salir de un escenario por sí mismo. Esa es la representación de los Estados Unidos en este momento. Ahora, les tengo esta información también por parte de Donald Trump, y dice lo siguiente: como presidente, una vez más, apoyaré firmemente al Estado de Israel y cortaremos el dinero a estos terroristas desde el primer día que tome la White House, y reimpondremos la prohibición de viajar a los países afectados por el terrorismo. Miren este video.
As president, I will once again stand strongly with the state of Israel, and we will cut off the money to the terrorists on day one. and reimpose the travel ban on terror-afflicted countries. I had a travel ban. You know, we think of it. I don't like talking about it, but now I can, because the time is up. I went 4 years without a problem. 4 years, because I had a travel ban. And the Islamic terrorists weren't allowed. It was very tough for them. I had a very strong travel ban. We didn't have a problem in 4 years. People forget that. People forget what happened before I was there. We had a big, big problem. But the bloodshed and killing that we saw this week will never, ever be allowed to happen on American soil, except for the fact that we have now allowed tens of thousands of probable terrorists into our country. We have people coming, men, coming in from China by the thousands. Men, not women, men coming in by the thousands. We have men coming in from the Middle East by the thousands and thousands, and they let them come in, just come right in. There's something going on, and we got to be careful. We need smart leadership. If we don't have smart leadership, we're not going to have a country any longer.
Ahora bien, antes de finalizar con este video, señores, vamos a compartir esta noticia. Vamos a compartir este video a través de las redes sociales. Por WhatsApp, por Facebook, por Instagram, por Telegram, por X, por True Social. Porque las personas merecen saber la verdad de lo que está pasando en los Estados Unidos y lo que está pasando en Israel. Que no se puede dejar solo a este país. Si tienes a un familiar o un amigo o una persona cercana, inclusive un vecino, que no está al tanto sobre este tipo de información, compártele este video. Regálame un gran like como forma de apoyo a este canal y suscríbete. Activa la campanita para que la plataforma te notifique cuando suba un nuevo video. Nos vemos en unas horas con un próximo video importante para todos ustedes. Hasta luego.